Good morning. It is a sweatbox in here. There are probably, I'd estimate, about 1,000 people in this terminal waiting to get a flight. Drinking water is so scarce in some areas that people have been collecting it on the side of the road. In other places, it's everywhere, choking entire neighborhoods.
All across this island, on this U.S. territory, and 3.5 million people are currently without electric power. Many places are very difficult to reach. Cell phones are down everywhere. So trying to find out how bad things are in places where no one has heard anything, still a lot of uncertainty about that.
The Jones Act prohibits foreign flag vessels from picking up and delivering fuel and goods between U.S. ports. So this means all shipping to Puerto Rico is limited to U.S. flagged vessels. As a result, the people of Puerto Rico are often forced to pay at least twice as much for food, clean drinking water, supplies, etc. In a letter to DHS, Arizona Senator John McCain called the department's decision unacceptable, citing the agency's willingness to waive the Jones Act for relief efforts in Texas and Florida following Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. Senator McCain urged DHS to rethink its decision, warning that Puerto Rico faces a humanitarian crisis as the island's 3.5 million people struggle to survive without electricity or clean water. Officials estimate the island could be without power for up to 6 months.
But as resources are running out, people are growing desperate.
The food is not enough, the gas is not enough, so everybody's fighting to get whatever is available.
The difference is this is an island sitting in the middle of an ocean, and it's a big ocean. It's a very big ocean.
Some of the areas outside of San Juan where there's still no communication and no powers, logic tells you there's probably some very critical medical needs that are unmet in those areas, and assuming we could even identify them, how do you deliver medicines and life-saving supplies across roads that might still not be navigable? And so the challenges are extraordinary, and it will take a much more aggressive federal reaction than we would traditionally see in order to kind of turn the corner on some of this.
Governor of Puerto Rico is so thankful for the great job that we're doing. It's the most difficult job because it's on the island. It's on an island in the middle of the ocean. It's out in the ocean. You can't just drive your trucks there from other states.
Let me just say we're very pleased with the communication with the president, with the administration, and with FEMA. We've been working as one team. This has been quite a challenge. It's a disaster of unprecedented nature. You need to consider that it's been two Category 4, 5 hurricanes passing through the island in the span of 2 weeks. We need resources such as generators. We need human resource on the security front, brigades. We need truck drivers, believe it or not, and equipment so that we can transport fuel. We have fuel in Puerto Rico, but transportation has been the limiting step. So those are the immediate needs that we're going to have.
Governor, we have also heard an urgent plea from the mayor of San Juan yesterday about her frustrations with FEMA and the federal government. Here's what she said.
We need to get our together here. And help needs to get into people's hands now. Not tomorrow, not later, now.
You heard what she said. She said now people are dying.
Right. Well, we're working on every front. It is clear that we're getting resources here in Puerto Rico. The level of the devastation, as I'm sure she understands, is unprecedented. So the actions are being taken. We need more help. Of course, we need more help.
minimum amount of hospitals currently functioning on the island, maybe around 11. Officials say they are at full capacity and face frequent power outages. In one case, desperate tweets have been sent by a physician from the San George Children's Hospital in San Juan, warning that people will die if more assistance is not received.
I am very satisfied. I know it's a hard storm to recover from, but the amount of progress that's been made, and I really would appreciate any support that we get. I know it is really a good news story in terms of our ability to reach people and the limited number of deaths that have taken place in such a devastating hurricane.
Well, maybe from where she's standing, it's a good news story. When you're drinking from a creek, it's not a good news story. When you don't have food for a baby, it's not a good news story. When you have to pull people down from their buildings, because I'm sorry, but that really upsets me and frustrates me. You know, I would ask her to come down here and visit the towns and then make a statement like that, which frankly, it is an irresponsible statement, and it contrasts with the statements of support that I have been getting since yesterday when I got that call from the White House. Damn it, this is not a good news story. This is a people are dying story. This is a life or death story. There's a truckload of stuff that cannot be taken to people's story. This is a story of a devastation that continues to worsen.
And I cannot fathom the thought that the greatest nation in the world cannot figure out logistics for a small island of 100 miles by 35 miles long. If anybody out there is listening to us, we are dying, and you are killing us with the inefficiency and the bureaucracy.
You woke up this morning to tweets from the President of the United States. What did you make of what he said?
I smiled. Really. I have no time for small politics or for comments that really don't add to the situation here.
He said that he talked about your leadership, and he said I don't know if he meant they, the leaders, or they, the people of Puerto Rico, want everything done for them.
It was kind of funny because I got them real late because we don't have internet. It's spotty at best. But he did say that we wanted things to be done. And, you know, the truth is staring us in the face. Just today, I was telling you we had to evacuate yet another hospital because the generator caught on fire. So this is another hospital that will not be able to work for another week. For the first time that I know of in my lifetime in Puerto Rico, 2 towns are being completely evacuated.
Do you feel that your speaking out has been effective?
I don't know, but if it has, you know, good.
The president also said in a tweet early this morning that you had been nice to him early on, but that Democrats told you you have to be nasty toward him.
You know, I don't know, maybe he's used to women who have to be told what to do. You know, that's not who we are here in San Juan. But really, you know...
Have Democrats said anything to you about how you should treat
Not at all. Actually, I am not a Democrat. I share values with the Democratic Party in the United States, but I do not participate in the Democratic Party. I just think he's looking for an excuse for things that are not going well.
On behalf of all of the people of Texas and all of the people of, if you look today and you see what's happening, how horrible it is, but we have it under really great control, Puerto Rico and the people of Florida who have really suffered over this last short period of time with the hurricanes. I want to just remember them, and we're going to dedicate this trophy to all of those people that went through so much, that we love, a part of our great state, really a part of our great nation.
We're going to help you out.
Thank you.
Have a good time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
It was a great trip and a beautiful place. I've been to Puerto Rico many times, as I think most of you have known, and I've always loved it. And your weather is second to none, but every once in a while you get hit. And you really got hit. Mick Mulvaney is here, right there, and Mick is in charge of a thing called budget. Now, I hate to tell you, Puerto Rico, but you've thrown our budget a little out of whack, because we've spent a lot of money on Puerto Rico, and that's fine. We've saved a lot of lives. If you look at the, every death is a horror, but if you look at a real catastrophe like Katrina, and you look at the tremendous hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that died, and you look at what happened here with really a storm that was just totally overpowering. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Now, what is your death count as of this moment? 17?
16 certified.
16 people certified. 16 people versus in the thousands. You can be very proud of all of your people, all of our people working together. 16 versus literally thousands of people.
How is the response progressing?
Ever since last Thursday, things started picking up a lot because of private organizations and non-governmental organizations like Operation Blessing have just been bringing loads and loads of food and water. And I have to say that now having the FEMA supplies been brought directly into the municipality has helped a lot. So we have been able to use the FEMA supplies to help other municipalities that have not received anything. The second part of the meetings today with the White House staff were conducive to just sort of bridging the gap between the disconnect of what they say is happening. By the way, the Pentagon does not agree with their assessment, and what really is happening.
He assembled this sort of strange round table situation where he went around the room and had people praise the federal response. He did not call on you. There was this moment when the two of you interacted, and I think what you said to him, and I'll let you say that, repeat what you said to him.
Well, I said to him, it's about saving lives. It's not about politics, and he didn't respond. But this was a PR 17-minute meeting. There was no exchange with anybody, with none of the mayors. And in fact, this terrible and abominable view of him throwing paper towels and throwing provisions at people, it's really, it does not embody the spirit of the American nation. He was insulting to the people of Puerto Rico. He said something like, Puerto Rico, you really have taken our budget out of whack because of all the money we've thrown here. He kind of minimized our suffering here by saying that Katrina was a real disaster, sort of implying that this was not a real disaster because not many people have died here. Well, you know what? They're dying. They don't have the medical resources. They can't get to their dialysis. Their oxygen tanks are starting not to work because they don't have generators. So hospitals are just collapsing because of their generator situation. The diesel doesn't get to where it's supposed to get. A lot of people are being caged, especially the elderly. And the pictures are there. The news have been witness to everything that we are saying. Mayors now are starting to talk a lot more about what they are encountering. So, I said this morning that he really has a communication issue. Yeah. He's sort of like a miscommunicator in chief.
It is an emergency on that island 14 days after the storm made landfall. I've never covered a national disaster where the emergency was endless. There was a moment, Nora, where nobody could find out about their loved ones on the island, and people on the island couldn't let anybody know they were okay. So they started reaching out to us. When we went to the airport, and there were thousands of people sleeping on the floor, and children naked, sweating, being fanned by their parents, I went to the governor and I said, what can you do? What can those people, and he said, well, no, we took care of it. And I said, I showed him the video on my phone, and he said, we're going to send aid. We're not there to actually be a first responder. But if you can help get action for the people who so desperately need it, I think that's journalism, too.
Do you think the president was taken to the right places? Because he seemed to indicate at one point, he said to somebody there, have a good time, or you all don't need flashlights. He's been criticized for the way that he threw the roll of paper towels into the crowd. Did you think he was really given a sense of how bad it is there?
I'll answer that question this way. The president didn't see the worst of it, Gail. The central part of the island where people are still bathing in stream water and drinking from it, Mr. Trump was not able to see.
San Juan, go inside the country, like where I live. I know the president went, but he went some another part, not in the center. I would like you to go to the center, because that's where the disaster is.
The Washington Post reported Thursday that FEMA has inexplicably removed information from its website that detailed the numbers of people in Puerto Rico who don't have access to drinking water and electricity after the devastation of Hurricane Maria. Showed that about half of Puerto Rico's residents lacked access to drinking water and 95% of the island was without power. While the administration's response to the recent hurricanes in Texas and Florida received praise, the president has received widespread criticism for what many say is a lackluster response effort to a far more severe humanitarian disaster on the U.S. island territory.
There has been an exodus from Puerto Rico ever since the devastating financial crisis. This U.S. Commonwealth is bankrupt. More than 1 million have left the island. I have no doubt but that these people forced to live under these primitive conditions, the young ones certainly will leave. What happens, though, as you know, the old and the feeble stay behind, or the very young who can't leave. Schools are closed here, by the way. Businesses incredibly disrupted. I think that of the 3.4 million, you will see a tremendous exodus to Florida, to New York State.
Like many people, I have family on the island, and what we all experienced if we weren't on the island was this terrible silence in the wake of the storm. And our social media feeds were full of the names of towns. It was, has anyone heard from Isabela? Has anyone heard from Hatillo? You know, you identify yourself by your town, and so I made that the lyric of the song, and then I called in every favor from Stephen Sondheim to Gloria Stefan.
Yeah. And they all took the call.
And they all took the call.
Speaking of that government response, you tweeted out something a few days after the storm that really got a lot of attention. I think we've got the tweet here.
It's unprecedented language from me, but it's unprecedented to have the President of the United States attack the victims of a natural disaster. I've never seen that before. And so those were the only words I had to express my feelings on that.
Right now, we are all wet. I'm a little bit angry, Mr. Vice President. We're all wet because you came here. I have to be angry because that's when people move.
We understand the frustration. Our message here today is the same as President Trump's message earlier this week. We're here for the long haul.
If our crew could get there, the same should be true for FEMA or anybody else delivering food or water or fuel. But apparently not. When our team arrived, after driving down that totally passable road, townspeople asked our producers, "Are you FEMA?" They say they've been waiting for FEMA for 2 weeks. That was on Wednesday of this week. We spoke to FEMA today. They say they have been to Ibanito 3 times. They didn't distribute any water or food, but they did help residents fill out paperwork for federal aid. FEMA official we spoke to also volunteered to us that the roads are pretty bad in that region, and if the roads are dangerous, they won't send a FEMA team.
We are also praying for the people of Puerto Rico. We love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. And we also love Puerto Rico. And I think I did at least as well on Puerto Rico. The problem is that Puerto Rico was in bad shape before the hurricanes ever got there. I mean, their grid was virtually, their electric company was a disaster. I went to Puerto Rico. I came back. We had an incredible day. The governor is a terrific guy who was praising the job we've done.
He's a Democrat.
And he's a Democrat. Yeah. Almost every mayor, I think there's over 70, were praising us. In fact, I was with one of the mayors who was a terrific person. So almost everybody, other than we have a mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, who didn't attend meetings, who didn't work with FEMA, who really did not do a very good job, in fact, did a very poor job. And she was the lone voice that we saw. And of course, that's the only voice the media wanted to talk to, because we really did a good job. They had these beautiful soft towels, very good towels. And I came in and there was a crowd of a lot of people, and they were screaming and they were loving everything. And I was having fun. They were having fun. They said, throw them to me, Mr. President. And so I'm doing some of the, so the next day they said, oh, it was so disrespectful to the people. It was just a made up thing. And also when I walked in, the cheering was incredible.
You were a rock star. I saw the video of it.
It was crazy. The cheering was deafening. They turned down the sound so that you just heard the announcers, Donald Trump. And I mean, look, the media is fake. In the meantime, I'm here. It's sort of amazing. So I'm here, and I sometimes ask myself, how did I ever get here?
We filtered out the mayor a long time ago, and we don't have time for the political noise. The bottom line is that we are making progress every day in conjunction with the governor.
This island can't seem to catch a break. There was new flash flooding overnight here in San Juan as a rainstorm blew through. But in the wake of Hurricane Maria, it is the political firestorm that is intensifying as some frustrated residents wait for help to arrive.
This morning, nearly 3 weeks after Hurricane Maria, much of Puerto Rico is still without power and without water. Three-star General Jeffrey Buchanan is spearheading the military relief effort here. NBC News rode with him on a supply airdrop mission to Aguadilla in the western part of the island.
We shouldn't pretend that this is going to be pain-free anytime real soon. This is going to take a long time and a lot of hard work to get people back on their feet.
Hours before she dealt with new flash flooding overnight in San Juan, Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz blasted FEMA in a series of tweets for not moving fast enough to distribute supplies. The head of the agency quickly firing back. In Miami, this warehouse is full of supplies that a state representative says have been slow in getting to Puerto Rico because of bureaucratic red tape.
It is extremely frustrating to see they either still here stateside or stuck in some central facility on the island and not getting out to the people.
The official death toll here is now up to 39, but the actual number could be much higher.
Right now, about 80% of the island lacks cell service, so the FCC is using an innovative approach to restore connectivity. It's issuing an experimental license to X. That's a moonshot company run by Google. X uses giant balloons as floating cell towers. It's called Project Loon. It sends balloons 12 miles in the air. From there, they connect with on-the-ground telecommunication systems.
The White House is not extending its waiver of the Jones Act. The century-old maritime law was waived for a 10-day period by President Trump to help speed efforts to aid Puerto Rico. However, the Department of Homeland Security confirmed on October 9th that the waiver, which expired on Sunday, would not be extended.
We have an urgent message to get out about what's really going on here in western Puerto Rico. Right now, we're only giving out to people in the mountains 1 small meal and 6 bottles of water per family. We can't figure out why supplies are not coming in from San Juan. The local government here is doing all that they can, and I can assure you that we personally assist the mayor as he walks on foot up through the mountains and hand delivers water and food to everyone that he possibly can get to. In this area, we're really the only ones here. We're 12 volunteer veterans, and people are hurting really bad right now. That when we are actually able to go out and deliver supplies when it's not raining because of mudslides, that's all those families are getting. So they could go 2, 3, 4 days without us getting up there to actually give them food.
Nearly 3 weeks after Hurricane Maria, FEMA still has not delivered food or water to Ibanito. Now, we got several calls from FEMA after our report on Friday night. They told us that they went back to Ibanito over the weekend on Saturday. But again, not to deliver food or water or any assistance, but instead to meet with the mayor so they could, quote, identify the town's needs and file a report. They've told us it's not their job to distribute food and water. They say it's the mayor's job. According to FEMA, quote, relief supplies are being delivered to regional staging areas, and mayors are largely responsible for arranging pickup and distribution. How are mayors of towns like Ibanito supposed to do this on their own without vehicles or working phones or fuel?
FEMA says commercial airline service is back to 100%, and 78% of gas stations are open. But only about a third of cell towers are working, and 84% of the power is still out. The death toll is up to 45.
Aid is getting through, but it's a trickle. Downed power lines and debris still clog the roads, making distribution agonizingly slow. In nearby Atalaya, it's as if the hurricane hit yesterday. Homes are destroyed. Families are collecting rainwater to clean dishes and themselves. Grocery stores are running low on food. Even so, people are lining up to get in.
What do you want from your government?
Just to show up.
Daniel Pacheco is a police officer here and a U.S. Navy veteran.
We're just asking for people to move the gas, for people to move the food.
Boots on the ground.
That's all.
While the island struggles to cope, FEMA held a job fair today, announced as good news by the White House, to hire 1,000 people, almost doubling its staff.
Adding to the emergency is the risk of a public health crisis. The governor of Puerto Rico tells CBS News that 2 people are believed to have died from leptospirosis. It is a severe bacterial infection. And tonight, 5 other people with similar symptoms are being treated with antibiotics.